Today is May 1st, and many of the lockdown measures for the coronavirus are being slowly lifted, especially for the boating industry. We have two outboards now. We have a 6-horse, 2-stroke that goes on the 20-foot O'Day, and a 15-horse, 4-stroke on the 27-foot O'Day. The difference: the 4-stroke has an internal oil reservoir that is more similar to a car, where the oil is circulated to lubricate the engine. So with that you find an oil filter and a dipstick, whereas the 2-stroke, you mix your oil with your gasoline, and when it's burnt, that lubricates the inside of the engine. Other than that, lots of similarities, lots of work to do to get ready for spring. We'll be changing the spark plugs. I always recommend getting spark plugs that are specific to this engine. For the 6-horse, it is a Suzuki, and we get all our parts from Brown Marine in New Jersey, which is the regional Suzuki distributor for parts. That way we know we're getting the proper parts for the proper engine. Spark plugs come in different sizes, and it is important to have the right spark plug socket to use on the plug. As you can see, the spark plug is not just a long socket, but has a plastic piece or a foam piece inside that will go around the spark plug and cushion it so that you don't crack the ceramic of the spark plug while taking it out or putting it in. You should check the gap on the spark plug. The proper gap will be listed in your repair manual. If the old spark plugs look in good shape, pack them away safely and keep them as a backup. You never know when something could go wrong out at sea and you will need parts. Next, I will be changing the lower unit grease. There is a little gasket in here which really you have to be very careful is intact and in good shape, otherwise replace it. You have to dispose of this lower unit grease properly. To refill the lower unit with grease, make sure you have the proper grease. Cut the top off the little tube here, insert it in the bottom, and keep putting it in until it will start to come out the top. If you don't have enough with one of your tubes, insert the screw back in the top hole to create a suction so that all the grease will not flow out. Have your next tube ready. Remove the screw and continue filling until it comes out the top. At that point, you put the top screw in. Put the bottom screw in. The next thing left to do is to use a grease gun, a few pumps, all the places where there are grease nipples, so that it gets nicely greased. Then you check your sacrificial diodes, zincs, make sure they're in good shape. These are there so that if there's electrolysis, the zinc will be eaten into before the engine is eaten into. You want to look at the hub. If need be, take it out. You should always be carrying extra shear pins and cotter pins in case you hit something. This engine last year had a water pump replaced, so no reason to go through that this year. Two strokes are fairly simple. This one was put away properly in the fall with a proper fogging, so it should start right up. Then we go on to the 4-stroke. We go through the same procedure for changing the lower unit grease on the 4-stroke. And again, we put in the proper lower unit grease, insert it in the bottom hole. Till it comes out the top. Put in the screw. Put in the bottom screw, and the lower unit grease on this engine is now done. I haven't changed the oil on a 4-stroke outboard before, so this should be interesting. I don't know how strong this force will come out, so we're going to be prepared. Not bad. Looks pretty dirty. Undo the filler cap, let it drain. So there's a little gasket on this, and we have a new gasket to go on. The next step will be to change out the oil filter. Going to try to mop up all the oil that came out. Try to keep this fairly clean. Take some of the oil, put it on the gasket on the new oil filter. And carefully, as to not cross thread, thread this back on. On snug but not too tight. And the new oil filter is on. The next step will be to put the plug back in. And then get the oil and refill. Again, we're using Mercury products on a Mercury. Since it doesn't tell me how much oil actually goes in, I'm going to keep checking along the way. Perfect. Our next decision will be if we are going to change out the gas filter and if we're going to put in a new water pump. She seems to be running fine. A new water pump probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but we will make that decision shortly.